maybe I should look at the thing. We're still missing one participant from Germany, but well, if he doesn't manage, then know what to do. So yeah, it looks a bit weird on the video because you can't really see what I'm doing on the screen. But so just for letting you know, yeah, this week there's a meeting of the Burning Man people in Valdaura. Yeah, just for the ones that that don't know about Burning Man, I will start sharing my screen. Okay. Valdaura, can you see my screen? So so they do quite amazing stuff. They meet in a desert in Nevada, and they build stuff like this, which completely blows my mind. So they built this, and in the end, they burn it. That's why it's called Burning Man. And it's, yeah, like after you make something big, you will think differently about this, because this is a lot of work. So, yeah, like I really enjoy looking through the pictures. So they do really big stuff. Like here on this one, a person is this size. Can you see this? So it's quite big, and they also have to make it in a way that you can have like 600 people dancing on there without it collapsing, and it has to survive the sandstorms and look beautiful at the same time. So this is just for giving you an idea of what those guys are doing, which is very inspirational. This is many hours of CNC machining. And they also have to carry all of it to the desert, and after they have to tidy it all up again, because they really leave the space clean. There's not a piece of charcoal on the floor. So this is what's happening in Valdaura this week. In Valdaura we can't burn anything. We decided we can make the compost land. But yeah, so this is why Valdaura is quite busy, and we wouldn't even have chairs to sit on because there's already 110 people and we only have 120 chairs. And since this weekend is already quite busy, so on Sunday there's the mini maker fair. You should all have received an invitation from Luciana. Yeah? Ah, yeah, nice. This one? Maybe you took my personal email. Oh yeah, that's the right one. Ah, yeah, here it is. Yeah, just you could send stuff like this to the group so everybody gets it. Wow. Yeah, this one is huge, and you can walk up and you can like put yourself inside the head of them. Yeah. How much people did you say there are? 50,000. Yeah, so there's place for all kinds of craziness. What the hell?
Yeah, but it's taken for 4 weeks. And you have to pay for anything.
Okay, so yeah, this is just the explanation for why this week we're not going to have the meeting with Thomas on Friday. Because Thomas is going up, but if we're all going up, then it's going to be too much. And we should rather go, for example, next Friday, and maybe we can bring some food and have lunch on the terrace. Yeah. Yeah. So the whole planning is still kind of unstable. So if you look at the calendar, so you all received this mail. Wait, the other one. The invitation from Luciana. So this is inviting you to the Maker Fair and also to the final party of the graduations of the app. And yeah, this is also going to be fun. So try not to leave before that. Last year it was a bit complicated because the official deadline was on somewhere 22nd of June. But then in the end, we had another 3 weeks that nobody knew of. So many of the students already had the flights booked for the 23rd. And then they suddenly realized, oh, actually, I would have had another 3 weeks, which was a bit sad. So the final end of FabAcademy is still not something that I would consider perfectly fixed. So try to keep a few weeks off after FabAcademy. Also a good time to enjoy Barcelona a little bit. Yeah, but you might have more time than it's obvious right now. Yeah, so this is, there's no date yet. Maybe, yeah, this is just the about. Okay, we will see. And if you look at our calendar so far, okay. This is today, we're a bit late. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a class about GIMP and Inkscape. This is 2 tools that I consider basic tools. Like Neil said, like the world of computer-aided design is like a workshop where you have different brushes and different hammers and screwdrivers. For me, GIMP and Inkscape is like the hammer and the screwdriver. And the hammer and the screwdriver you can already do quite a lot. It's not perfect for everything, but you will use a hammer and a screwdriver almost every day. Then I will do another class on Friday. This might be a bit longer than this, but yeah, we will see. Maybe just do it the same. Which is me talking a lot. So if you want to hear what Neil said in an extended version, with more details on the single tool, then I would recommend you to come. Computer-aided design is kind of my hobby and my job at the same time, and I'm in this for quite a while right now. And what I was always missing is somebody giving you an overview. There's many people that talk about specific programs, and everybody says that their program is the very best one, and you have to use this one. But nobody really gives you an overview and says, okay, or Neil's overview is a bit short because he spends like 2 seconds. Like, oh, there's Maya, and there's Studimax, and there's SolidWorks, but he doesn't really tell you why you would prefer one over the other, or for which job you would use this tool and where you would use the other. So I'm trying to clarify the situation a little bit, and hopefully after you will be able to choose at least 2 or 3 programs to use for the homework. But this is just playing around. Like next week is still quite relaxed. Feel free to install as many programs as fit on your computer and play a bit with them. And most of the time it takes another 1 week or 2 weeks until you realize, okay, I like this one. And but then maybe just before the end you realize that for your final project you might use another program. But now it's still easy. It's just there's no rules. You can just download and play. And there's another bunch of programs that I would consider FabLab core because they're open source and cross-platform. Tools like Blender or FreeCAD or OpenSCAD. And so over the course of time, I will make more classes on those programs. I already have a class prepared for all of them. I'm doing Blender classes for more than 10 years now. So this is the one where you seeming quite comfortable. Then OpenSCAD is another nice tool that kind of gave birth to the whole open source printing things. Thingiverse is mostly models from OpenSCAD. I know it's mixing up a little bit, but in the beginning it was mostly from OpenSCAD. And FreeCAD is kind of the open source alternative to SolidWorks or to the big ones, but it's still in heavy development, so I wouldn't recommend it as a beginner's tool. But for the ones that already know SolidWorks or Creo or NX or CATIA, they would probably enjoy trying FreeCAD and give it another few years, and it will be a very powerful tool. Right now, you still have to suffer a little bit because the workflow is not very polished, and it might crash once in a while, but it's still a nice tool even for a beginner. We're trying to get people from McNeil here to give us a Rhino class. The representatives of McNeil Spain are somewhere here close. Last year they gave us a lecture, which was really nice. And this would also allow us to buy a collective license for all of us. So last year we bought maybe 20 licenses, and this takes the price down. So if you want to join in for a collective order, I will publish a spreadsheet where you can put your name. I think it's around 140, 150 euros. The more people we get, the cheaper it gets. And it's a kind of half commercial license. I think there's some limited situations where you can actually use it for commercial work, but it's mostly a student version.
For Grasshopper as well?
Grasshopper is a free plugin. Grasshopper you don't need to pay.
Just Rhino.
Just Rhino. And then we will try to find one of our Grasshopper geeks to give us a Grasshopper class. This also happened last year, but they're quite busy right now, so it might take another week. But if you're fresh to Rhino, then just play with Rhino a little bit. And after a week or two, we can get into Grasshopper. If you're pro in Rhino already, then pick another tool. Like we're not here for doing something that you know already. And there's lots of interesting choices. Antimony, for example, is very interesting. Neil is completely in love with it. And for a good reason, because it has a very very advanced math kernel. It can do things that Rhino or SolidWorks will never be able to do. And yeah, we kind of ended up using mostly Rhino and SolidWorks last year for the final project. And this is probably where we're heading to this year again. There's new stuff happening, like the Autodesk 360. OnShape, which is which runs online in the browser. They're both very interesting. They're both very new still. So the Autodesk 360 is, I still consider it like take the program, but I'm a bit skeptical. And we have 3 licenses for SolidWorks. Right now we only have 10 licenses, but I will try to get more licenses. And there's also other ways for yeah.
So you can use the license as what we have here.
Yeah, and it works with the license server, so you can when you're here, you can just check it out and use it. Oh yeah, and just because Andreas is
at home, it's not possible.
no, you can borrow a license for X amount of time. So you can say I want to borrow it till next week, and I will happily agree if we have enough licenses for everybody. And then you can use it for this week, and then you have to come back here for refreshing it. But I talked to Neil today, and it's in the process because they weren't expecting so many participants. So there's only 10 licenses per lab, but we need 30. So we can get some from Moldova and some from here, and then we have 20, and then we need another 10, and then we could work properly with SolidWorks. Andreas just mentioned that there's Rhino for Mac as well, which up to recently was a better version that you could use for free. But since last week, there's a version, but it didn't run with Grasshopper. Since 1 or 2 weeks ago, you can have Grasshopper on Mac. I think you have to just Google for Grasshopper Mac, and that's it. I think it's still not a commercial product, so you can probably download it for free, but you might need a special version of Rhino for this. It doesn't work with the regular Mac version. So you need to get the version from 2 weeks ago. Okay, so this is the calendar for this week. For next week, I will put classes for Monday and Tuesday, but we can still decide on what we actually want to do. I would like to do a Blender class, but this might be more adequate in the week where we do the 3D scanning and printing, because Blender is great for working with meshes. Tomorrow I'm also going to cover like many basics on what is a bitmap, what are vector graphics, what is a polygonal model, what are nerves. So tomorrow is not just GIMP and Inkscape, it's also like giving you an introduction to what are the differences. What's the difference between Maya and SolidWorks? And yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, we're still free to choose. There's going to be a class, definitely. The question is, what? So if you get a Rhino class for Monday, then this would be it. If we don't, then I might slip OpenSCAD in there. Or, well, if you're in, there's also programs that are very easy to learn. So just for sketching your final project, you might be happy with something like SketchUp. But yeah, I'm going to go more into the details once we get there. Looks like mostly everybody managed to upload their website with Git. Great, well done, congratulations. I can tell that there's still some confusion with file sizes and how do I reduce my image size. We're going to take care of all of this tomorrow with the GIMP tutorial. GIMP is great for doing your web page. There's a few extras that I would like to point out. And Inkscape is kind of the vector graphics tool that we can use for many things. I will show you some nice tricks for laser cutting. So we can also use it in the week after when we do the laser cutting. And yeah, I think that's more or less it from my side. Did I forget anything? We talked about Rhino, and we talked about the yacht party, but that's not so important yet. The deadlines. The thing with the drawers is clear, how to get a key for the drawer. All of you have a card for opening the door. Anything organizational that I have to think of?
Well, the regional reviews, they have to be clear.
Ah, yeah, right. So for now, we have a regional review with Germany on Wednesdays at 10, so today at 10, just before the class. And we're just looking at each other's projects and comment on each other and say, yeah, good, or maybe you're missing an image there. Tuesdays at 10. If this is convenient for you, we would also invite Singapore and Wednesdays, sorry, Wednesdays. Wednesdays, please. Before news class.
So today in the morning.
Yeah.
No, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So for this week we didn't have so much to show, so it's not really interesting yet. We can also decide to just skip it and not have it, because I don't want to spend too much time just with like sitting and
every week is a different FabLab.
No, and the Fab Labs are organized in a hierarchical structure. So there's super nodes and sub nodes. And this year we are the super node of Singapore, of 3 Fab Labs in Germany, and that's it. And the Green Fab Lab. Yeah. And so last year we had the regional reviews continent-wide. So it was Europe, Asia, North America, South America. And you can imagine if you have 100 people in a review session, it's not very probable that you're going to present. But it is interesting to see what the others are doing. Mostly there's some really good guys in FabAcademy, so it's always amazing to see what they're doing, and it motivates you. Like, wow, I want to do this as well. And you get to know who's doing what, and you can ask them questions because they're doing something similar. And it's also good for us because so far we don't really know what everybody's doing. If you want, we could just do a regional review right now. So everybody talks a bit about how they're feeling so far and what they did so far and what their ideas are.
I would like to manage my website.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ah, yeah, topic website. I think I'm going to spend 5 minutes on this topic as well, because I see that some people are struggling a little bit with their templates. Yeah?
So, before we go to the next topic, could you quickly recapitulate the deadline? So, you mentioned tomorrow you're having gym and landscape. Then what happens on Friday?
Yeah. A class on computer-aided design.
Everything at 3.
Yeah. I don't know how comfortable you would be if we start. We can also do double classes, so we start at 10 and make another one at 3. No, not instead, but additional. Yeah. Because this week is going to be quite full, so if I could pack like.
How long does it take, in your opinion, a lesson of GIMP and Inkscape? 2 hours and 2 hours?
I think it would take rather 3 to 4 hours, depending on how deep you want to go.
For each one?
For the both, yeah. Maybe an hour and a half each.
The 3 of us that needs to work here to help out.
Yeah.
At the lab. It's not every day, it's not always. So
yeah, this is something you have to organize with the people from the lab.
Just because you said doubling the lessons.
Yeah.
I would really like to be all lessons.
Yeah, but I think we have a joker. If it's for a FabAcademy class, I think you can get off from FabLab, no problem. Okay, now I lost track a little bit. Yeah, so the weekly schedule, the repetitive things that are always happening is Wednesday, the class of Neil. Mondays, the recitations from like the talks, which is something that you don't have to be present at the very moment because it's all on video, so you can watch it whenever you want. And then the regional review, if you want to, it's kind of optional, but I consider it a good choice. On Tuesday at 10, which is also great that it's at this time, because if it was like on Monday, it wouldn't make any sense because everybody is still busy finishing their work. So Tuesday 10 is good because you probably already finished your stuff and you really can relax a little bit and show your work.
Wednesday?
On Wednesday. I'm a disaster. Sorry. Yeah, I will update the calendar. The calendar is a work in progress, so be prepared for it to change from one day to the next. I won't cancel like big things from one day to the next without telling you. But for example, the classes for Monday and Tuesday I still don't have in there, but they're going to appear before Monday.
So Wednesday at 10 until?
As long as it takes. It's probably an hour. Yeah, actually it's exactly 1 hour because there's people in Germany that have commitments after, so it's from 10 to 11.
And Friday,
We can still choose. I think it would be nice, like days in Valdaura start a bit earlier, so we normally start at 8, 9. So the usual meeting point is 9:30 in Valdaura, and then we could walk up, which takes about 40 minutes walking. But I will advise you, if you're lucky, Jonathan gives us a lift, but he can't put all of us into his car. But it's a very nice walk. It's a steep uphill on a very small, rocky path, but it's beautiful. So once you get past the prison, it's going to be nice. I will send another mail and explain it in details. And we still have to coordinate with Jonathan if this is fine. But yeah, I hope so. Any questions from Valdaura?
It's not this Friday, right? Because this Friday is back.
The one after.
Okay.
Yeah, John? Okay.
Yeah, no questions from this side. That's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the fixed points are only those 3, whereas 1 is not really fixed. You can just watch the video. But it would be great to have you all here and do a regional review. Maybe before we get, like, whoever wants to join, we can just like talk a bit about the stuff you made, just about your experiences with the website. Maybe before we repeat the same questions over and over, I wanted to explain you some little things on the website. So if I open a website made with a template from Massimo, whatever comes up. You will realize that there's a folder Bootstrap that has lots of CSSs in here, and some are called Bootstrap theme min. And you see that this one is just everything in one line. If you see the horizontal scroll bar, this scrolls for another 100 meters. And they do this to save space, because each blank space is also 1 byte. So if you have lots of blank space in your CSS, it gets bigger, and for saving space, they make a minified version of it. And the way Bootstrap works is actually, it's using a system that is called less. Yeah.
About the super class, those Alex on the possibility
Yeah.
So he said that Monday
Great. Yeah. Okay, so probably Monday afternoon is a very flexible thing in Spain, so let's see. So this is less, and less is a like actually this little piece of code already explains a lot. So you can do things like define variables, so you define a color, and then in your code you can at many places you use the same color. So if at some point you want to change all the colors of all your elements, you just change it up here. And it will change throughout your style sheet. But this would not work as a style sheet. It also has a file extension .less, but you can compile it to make a normal style sheet. So it makes it easier to program complex style sheets, but you need either to install a program or to use a piece of JavaScript for converting it to a normal style sheet. And this also can compile you this minified version of a style sheet. And if you really want to do it like the pros, then you would like install less on your computer, which is very easy if you're on a Mac. But I wouldn't recommend it to the ones that are still struggling with CSS in general. What I would recommend to those is to do it the same way that Massimo does it. So next to the Bootstrap CSS, he has another CSS, which should be somewhere here, and it's called FabAcademy CSS, this one. And you will see that there's some stuff repeated in there. So all of those containers are already defined in the Bootstrap CSS. But if you look at the single page, see if I find one, exercise 2, you see that the order in which it defines the style sheets is first the Bootstrap CSS, already the minified version, which is horrible to edit, so don't touch it, just leave it. And then a bit after there's the other, the FabAcademy CSS. Maybe let's check. Oh, du siehst meinen Screen nicht. Wie gibt es das denn? Okay, let's quickly have to check why there's nothing visible. So I think I'm sharing my screen, entire screen, share. Ah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, no idea how to change this. I'm sharing my whole screen and I present to everyone. So this should actually, oh, yeah. Okay, no idea how to improve this. Valdaura, can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, there's something weird. For some reason, Andreas can't see the screen, but you do see my browser and everything, no?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, great. So yeah, so I recommend you to do it this way. So you include the bootstrap CSS first, and then you make your own CSS. And as soon as you define something in your CSS that is already existing in the CSS from Bootstrap, your definition will override it because it's further down in the order. So actually, if you look at a piece of code from this one, and you go to you use the inspect element function, you will see that some of the styles are crossed out. So if I go inspect, and you scroll down a little bit, can you see those here? These ones? This one is defined in Bootstrap min CSS, but it's also defined in our FabAcademy CSS, so just overrides them. Not physically, but virtually. Yeah, this was, yeah?
If I wanted to change the font,
yeah?
So I don't change either the FabAcademy CSS or the Bootstrap CSS to make another CSS.
No, you changed the FabAcademy CSS. But I saw many people using different Bootstrap templates, and they only have the Bootstrap min CSS, and they don't have any other CSS. And they started like editing the Bootstrap CSS, which is a nightmare because it's just one line, and also it's not very easy to read and to edit. And once you update your Bootstrap, you will lose all of this. Actually, with this type of Bootstrap, you could update your template, and everything would still be intact. You're just changing the engine that it's running on. And yeah, this was one of the things. And the other thing I wanted to let you know is, maybe I didn't explain this very properly. So right now I'm in my Git directory, and you all know that I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Our extended cooking recipe, I will still send out a mail tonight, which looks like this. I'm almost finished, but I edited the video and my computer crashed just on the last minute. And we recorded 4 hours of video, so it took me the whole morning to edit it. And so I did it again, and it's uploaded and everything, but I want to put this little text file in there as well. And I also didn't know yet of where I can publish my stuff, because all of you have a folder, I don't. And so I had to ask today in the prep meeting, where can I publish it? So soon on the landing page of our lab. So if you go to FabAcademy.org, and then you go to class archive, then you go to labs, then there should be a page for FabLab Barcelona that one of you deleted yesterday, so I had to put it back again. So let's look for Barcelona. please don't delete stuff that is outside of your folder. Just like stay in your little folder. There you can do whatever you want, apart from uploading huge files and things like this. But so this is our Barcelona page, and soon there's going to be a link on my page and probably on Santi's as well, where you can find additional information. And also pay attention to the tutorial section. So this is starting to grow. Now it already has the English tutorials link. Whoa, okay, this is probably from last year, but there's a lot of information in there. And in general, it's a good idea to look at the lessons from the previous years. There's Anna from Providence. She set herself, she made herself immortal by doing an amazing documentation for everything in FabAcademy. And they used to be kind of the reference for FabAcademy for a long time. Providence. Wait, now I can find it. Yeah, so it's if you search for FabAcademy Providence tutorials, it will take you to this page, and there's yeah, this from 2014. Oh, and it disappeared. Okay, not so good, but yeah, but they will appear also in the weekly tutorial. So there's lots of information, and if you are good at something and you want to make a tutorial on it, feel free to make a website and contact me, and I will upload it to the documentation for everybody. This is an easy way of becoming known in the FabLab community, and it's a way for giving back a little bit, because you will receive a lot of knowledge, and it's always a nice idea to do it in a sharing way. Something else about Git. Yeah, so I will send again the instructions. I guess you all know from the last lesson that we start with Git pull, and then you see I have 118 new objects.
Because I've got all the pull.
Yeah.
Understand? I don't need it, or do I?
No, pull is the most important command, and you can always run it. And like if you don't, yeah, this might be the reason that we're getting into some trouble. If you don't pull, then you have an old version of the files in your repository, and if you check this in, you overwrite everybody's stuff with some old stuff, which is the best way to make you unpopular. So whatever you do, you should always start with git pull. And so git pull looks on the server, what are the newest versions of all the files, and it compares it to the files that you have edited on your computer, and everything that was not edited by you gets updated. If you have something in your folder already, let's say your web page that you already designed, it won't get overwritten. So don't worry. Pull is always a nice command, doesn't cause any trouble ever. And if you just do it again, it just says, hey, it's up to date already. It didn't change anything. And if you want to be sure that everything's all right, you do git status. Git status doesn't do anything. It's just showing you information about what's going on. Do you have changed files in your archive? Did you stage them already or not? That's more or less what git status tells us. And then after doing the pull, you can go to your folder and update the files that you edited. One way is to delete them all and just put the new ones in. Or if you, better is if you know which files you changed, you just copy in the files that you changed. No. Yeah. Yeah. And I also see that some people have their website inside their repository.
Yes, and the problem, my clue is that it gives me this.
Okay, let's have a look afterwards and we'll fix this. And this looks weird. So what you want to avoid is that you change a file that somebody else is changing as well. As long as you stay in your folder, this shouldn't be a problem. But as soon as you start like editing files outside your directory, you might get into trouble with other people. And it will give you, it will tell you, for example, that there's a branch that has to be merged. Because as soon, if two people edit the same file and do a push, you won't overwrite somebody else's file. It will say, hey, there's two different files. I will make a branch. So it splits in two. And actually, if you look on the page of GitHub, let me see if I have it still open. No, so I go git FabAcademy.org. You can also have a look if you log into your FabAcademy Git and then go to our folder and then on the 110 commits, and you can look at it in this network view. You can see that there's already a lot of merging and stuff that has been happening. This is not supposed to look like this. This should be just a straight line. But since some of you messed up a little bit, which is not a big deal, we had to merge several branches together just for getting on the straight line. And this, you can also see the commit messages, which is very helpful because this helps us to track down what's actually going on. Okay, I will just quickly tell Andreas where this is. So this is git.fab. Yeah, Andreas, instead of, since you hear me, I can just tell you, I haven't set you up for this yet, but I will send you a tutorial today where you can follow the steps and get your web page running. Be patient, there's no hurry. Now we have till next week. Yeah, so this shows you the history of our Git commit so far, and nothing ever gets lost. Like if you pushed it, it's going to be there somewhere. Maybe you don't see it because it's like in a parallel branch or something, but don't worry, we can fix it. So where the fun kind of ends, because this year we don't have like a double floor. Last year we had our own repository, so whoever checks in stuff from our students would check in a repository that I could control, and once I was sure that everything's all right, I would push it to the central one. This year we don't have a double floor, so whatever nonsense you do, it's going to appear directly under Neil's name. And Neil is not happy if you upload your whole SIM card from your camera, and there's no way back. Even Neil can't delete them, and they're going to be in the repository. If you delete them, they are not going to be visible in the repository, not for normal mortals like us, but the file size of the repository grows. That's for giving you an idea of how Git works. And when you, let's say you make a text file that is called hello, and it says hello. Then you make a version where you delete the O, and you push it again, and it's not going to make a new file that is called hell. It's going to keep the first file, and it's going to add a file that records changes. So it says -O on line 1. This is all that it's changed. So if you upload your website and you completely delete everything that was in there and upload a new file, it's going to make a file that contains all the changes, which are like deleting line 1, deleting line 2, deleting line 3, and so on, and add line 1, add line 2, add line 3. As long as the text files don't change completely, this makes a lot of sense. But at the point where you have files with the same name that are completely different, it's the same file size as having two separate copies. Once in a while, you can tell Git to kind of make a clean table. So instead of just saving all the changes, it really puts the new files up there. But once you get a bit more comfortable in Git, you can learn how to do this. But for the moment, bear in mind that whatever you put up there is going to stay there. Even if you don't see it, you can make it invisible to your website, but it's going to occupy space on the server. So if somebody at some point wants to make a backup of FabAcademy2016, and you uploaded a gigabyte of garbage, then somebody has to carry around all your garbage because there's no way of getting it out. Which is the best and the worst part of Git at the same time. The good part is you can't delete anything, so you can never accidentally delete somebody's files. You can make them invisible, but they will still be able to go back and make them visible again. The bad part is that the archive keeps growing if you're not working cleanly. So before doing anything commit-wise, I would ask you to use this command that is looks a bit scary, but actually it's quite easy. And now, since we're using Git, you can run it on Mac, Linux, and Windows very easily. Before, we would have needed Linux for doing this. So the command, the basic command is called du, which is easy for disk usage. But if I just run it like this, it just gives me a long list of all the folders in there, and it's not easy to understand which files are the big ones and which are the small ones. So what we do is we pass it parameters. And passing a parameter goes by writing a dash and then a parameter. So if I do du minus s, it makes a summary. It shows me the big picture. And if I do du minus sk, it shows me another simplified version of this. And actually, I have to do it like this. So it actually includes the folder names and tells me the size of each folder. And if I go into students and do the same command, I can see all the sizes of all your folders, but they come in random orders. I can't tell who's the biggest folder. So if I want to order it by file size, I can run it through something which is called a pipe, which is a vertical bar. And I think on my computer I do it like this. And then I pass it to another program. This pipe command works for many commands. And I can tell it to sort it. But if I just sort it, it sorts it alphabetically. And alphabetically, the 0 comes before the 2. Or actually, you can see my whole screen. I have to move a little bit. Okay. And so alphabetically, sorting doesn't make sense for file sizes. So I have to tell it that the sorting is numerical. So it goes by the size of the number, not just by the first letter. And so this way I see that somebody checked in a web page that is a good bit too big. Who's number 24? Yeah. So your website is 5.6 megabytes. So if I go to your folder, and I run the same command, I see that the biggest stuff is in the media folder. And if I go to media, look in there, oh no. I see that there's one logo JPEG that is 0.5 megabyte. Yeah? Oh yeah, like actually, to be honest, I forgot what the meaning is. I assembled this command at some point. But if you do man.du, it explains you all the parameters. So S means display an entry for each specified file.
And isn't that enough space or
What?
and the direction or the space?
And minus K. And minus K means that it displays it in kilobytes, not in bytes or in bits. So yeah, you could tell it to show everything in bits, in big numbers. And you quit it by hitting Q. So let me see if this works on my computer here. No. I would have to add GIMP to my command line so I can easily open this picture. But if you look into, what was it, 24. So it's the logo data.
So, otherwise, if I use Windows, go to the media directory, right click, sort by size, and the same information. So,
Yeah.
not absolutely necessary to use the image. So,
I would recommend it to you because it gives you also the subfolders. So I could see that, like seeing something like what I did just one before. This you would have a hard time. You would have to right-click on each folder and say file size, and then go to the next one, file size. There's plugins for the Windows Explorer that show you this, but they're very slow. Like if you forget that you have it on and you navigate to your application folder, it will suddenly your computer goes slow for half an hour, and it's because it's summarizing all the directories. There's also some nice tools. I use one on Mac. I use this one here, which is called Disk Inventory, and it shows you in a graphical way the sizes of your files. So if I scan my hard disk, and I use one for Windows that is called SpaceMonger, and if you take the old version of it, it's for free. And this shows you in a super nice way of what is big on your hard drive. And I'm sure all of you would be surprised the first time they run it, because suddenly you see, I had this 2 GB movie that I stored in C because I didn't have space or whatever. And suddenly you see it and you're like, okay, these are the big ones. So for example, on my computer, I have some problems because Mac is making a lot of swap files. So if your computer is running out of RAM, which happens quite frequently on mine because I just have 2 gigs of RAM, then it creates a file on the hard disk with a special format where it can quickly read and write. So everything that doesn't fit into RAM, it writes it in the swap file. And right now, my swap is not this one neither. Yeah. So I have one which is the swap file and another one which is the sleep image. So if you close your computer and it goes to hibernation, it stores everything that was in your RAM in a file, and when you open it again, it puts it back and you're back again. Yeah. No, but this is great the way it is, but I have some application that is leaking some memory, so it creates additional swap files. So I had 5 swap files, occupying 5 gigs. And if you see that I only have 36 gigs of space, then this is losing 5 gigs hurts for me. But I wouldn't ever find this without using this tool. So I really recommend you to have a look at your web page with in the easiest way, just with this command, which we have available. And if you know any other way of doing the same, of achieving the same goal, then feel free to do this. This picture is super nice, and it's probably quite big. So it's almost 3,000 pixels wide, which is good if you want to see it on a 4K screen. Like actually this screen would be the only one in this tablet that is able to show this image in full size. But if you just have it on a web page, then it doesn't need to be this big. If you want to keep your images big, and I completely agree that if you say, hey, come on, we're living in the 21st century, and we have 4K displays, I want to see my pictures in big. Then you'll feel free to do this, but upload it to Flickr or any other image sharing site. Put a small image on your website and make it so that the link takes you to the Flickr image. I know it's a bit annoying, but in the end, we want an archive that is small and compact, so that you can just put it on a pen drive and say, here, you want to know something about FabAcademy 2016? Boom, here it is, everything compact. But on the same hand, we don't want to limit ourselves in having big files. So for example, if you do a 3D scan of yourself, the STL file is probably a few hundred megabytes big, and this would explode the archive if you put all of those files in there. And for this reason, we have a small version that we show to everybody, and then we make a big version that you can put on your personal site. So even if your personal site disappears after a while, you still have the basic documentation in the archive. So if somebody comes back to your project in a few years, he would be very happy to see this image, but it doesn't need to be this big. It just has to be enough for documenting your process. And if you want the full resolution, I can tell you tricks of how to automate this a little bit. What
Also, inside the single
yeah.
Normally 72 pixels is quite okay.
Yeah. Okay, one thing, but I will explain this tomorrow. And this resolution here has nothing to do with the image size. This is kind of the scaling factor if you want to print it or if you want to mill it. But what we're interested in is only the pixels. We're talking about bitmaps, and there's only this much by this much pixels, and they will always have the same size, no matter what resolution you put in here. But I will explain this in more detail tomorrow. This causes a lot of confusion, and even like some long-term graphics designers don't seem to know what this means. But you can see it as kind of the scaling factor for your print or for your screen or for your milling machine. So once we get to the milling, this is going to be an important number because it tells you how big your PCB is actually going to be. You can have a very small image with a crazy resolution, so it's going to mill very perfectly, or you can have a pixel-wide image that is this big. Would probably not work very well on the milling machine, but yeah, let's see this tomorrow. I would also ask you to use mostly JPEGs, because the same image as PNG is a bit bigger. I really do like the PNG format. It's great. It's much better in many respects than JPEG, but they're a bit bigger. And if you don't need to make use of the fact that PNG has a 16-bit alpha channel, which means you can put it over a background and see half through it, then there's no need for using PNG. They're just the same, but a bit bigger. So yeah, please use JPEGs, and please make sure that you don't have any weird files in your folder. So if I look through here, it looks all right. If I look in the command line, I can do a list, and I make a long list of everything. So I see even the hidden files, and it looks all right. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a thumbs DB in there. This is what Windows creates each time that you do a preview of an image. If you see the folder with the little icons, so if I go to over here and I say, actually, how do I do this? Like this, no? Or like this? No, like this. So in order for your operating system to show those little icons, it has to generate those images. It's not, all computers are getting stronger and stronger, but they're still not big enough for showing you a minified version of a 4 megapixel picture. So it creates all these little icons and it puts them in a file that is called .bsstore on Mac and _thumb on Windows. And those files can grow quite a bit. If you have 50 pictures in a folder and you do a preview, then your thumbnail file might reach a few megabytes. If you look closely into our Git repository, if I do ls, I don't see it, but if I do an ls-a, I see that there's another two files. One is a folder. Actually, I should do it with ls-la. And D means it's a directory. So, and there's four directories. One of them is the current directory, which is always there. And the two dots are the directory above it. And this one is a hidden directory, which is called Git, which is where all your Git-related information is in there. So if I go to the Git directory, and I see that there's all kinds of information stored on how basically all the information you saw on the website, that does all the crazy branch stuff, this is somewhere in there. This will grow over time, but keep your fingers out of there. Don't delete the folder. If you delete it, you kill your archive. And then there's another file, which is this one, which is called git ignore. And this one tells Git to ignore certain file types. So if I open this in a, oh, I actually should practice. Ignore. Let's see, right now there's only two entries. One is _star, which means every file that starts with _ ignore it. And then I also ignore the .txt_store files. And if somebody has a Windows copy open of somebody's running Windows, can you find out for me how those files are called, the .thumb? Actually, I can just look thumbnail files, Windows. So this explains the whole thing that I just explained with the, and it's called thumbsdb. So I will copy this and put it in here. Okay, so from now on, you don't have to be concerned with those files anymore. Because from now on, or actually from the moment on that I push this git ignore file, it's going to ignore everything that starts, that is called like this. If I'm doing it all right, maybe I don't, but I hope so. And as for showing you the workflow, I want to push this file, so I do my git pull. And actually, probably nobody pushed anything in the meanwhile, but just for being careful, I do the git pull. Then I do, let's see if it recognized that I changed this file, and it did. So it said modified git ignore. Then I do my git commit -m, and I tell it that I modified git ignore. Your branch is up to date for the master changes of station. What? I forgot to say git add all the changes, and then I do my commit. And now I can do git status, and I see, okay, it's one commit. And now I can do my git push, and it will push this on the server. And the next time you do a git pull, it will update this file to reflect the changes that we did. Yeah. And what might happen if you get in conflict with somebody else, that the push doesn't work. It says there were some errors, didn't work. Just go back and do git pull again. And if you change something that somebody else changed, it wants to do a merge. And in a short while, I will explain you how to do merges so you could actually make use of it. It's not just for annoying people, it's actually a useful feature. But it will ask you to give a message to declare why you're merging. And this will open in an editor that is called Vim. It's a very powerful text editor. Looks like this. If you want to learn it, you can start by typing help. And this takes you to a few megabytes of text files. And it has some weird things. For example, going forth and back is with J and K. Can you see how my cursor moves? And I go left and right with L and R. Oh no, sorry. And so I can't make any changes because it's write protected. It works in mode. So you have a mode for selection, which allows you just to use all the keyboard for moving around in the text file. And you have to hit a special key for changing from the selection mode to the editing mode, so that you can actually write stuff. And it has some special features. So for example, you could tell it to jump 25 words ahead of where you are right now. Or I could tell it to write hello 5,000 times. And it's just hitting a few keys, and it will do stuff that you would normally take ages for doing it. But they're kind of, actually, if you look at programmers, I would say a good part of them are using editors with modes. One of them is VI, then there's the VIM, which is the improved version of VI. And then there's crazy things like, I always forget its name. Yeah, Emacs. So Emacs started as a text editor, but it reached a level where some people call it an operating system, not a text editor. So Emacs does mostly anything. So yeah, you can also get an online version of Vim. So you can get like an interactive tutorial, which is very nice because you don't mess up things. And yeah, if you're interested, this is very powerful. I kind of abandoned it because they're made for an American keyboard. So you have to use some shortcuts that are very easy to hit on an American keyboard. Because, for example, the underscore is just one letter. If I want to make an underscore, I have to hold Shift and then hit the key. And if I have to hit underscore together with Alt, then I have to like hit 3 keys at a time, and it gets worse. So if you're not using an American keyboard, Vim and Emacs are kind of hard to use. Of course, I could change my keyword layout to be like an American keyboard, but I kind of got tired of it. So I'm using Sublime now, which is a text editor that I can very hardly recommend to everybody. It's not for free, but you can use it for free. It just annoys you once in a while saying, hey, don't you want to buy me? It's very powerful, and it actually has, it's called retro mode. So you could make Sublime to work in modes. Then you could use all the commands from Vim and from Emacs and have the same speed. So yeah, this is so much on text editors. The one thing that you have to know about Vim is that if it enters into Vim, you should know how to exit it. And you do this by writing double colon. Is the right name for it? Yeah, like the two dots, one over each other. Huh? Colon. And how's the other one with the comma called? Semicolon. Okay, colon. Sorry. Excuse me. Colon. So you write colon Q. It means quit. Colon is the command for saying, hey, I'm gonna give you a command, and Q is for quit. And probably it's gonna complain now because I changed the file, and actually I opened the help file, and now I have an empty file, and I have to do Q again, and I'm out. But as soon as I do this and I write something, so I have to go to insert mode, and then I can write stuff. I do Q now. Oh, how do I leave insert mode again? Escape, and then I can say quit. It would say no, you can't quit. You have to either save your stuff or discard it. And if I want to quit and discard everything I did, I write an exclamation mark after it. So this way you discard changes and exit. So yeah, maybe just remember this one. If you want to get out of Vim, colon, Q, exclamation mark. In this case, it will quit whatever you did. And something is making noise here. Wie schreibt man der Vim so? Okay. Yeah, so this is probably all we need to know about Git for the moment. Please just follow the recipe that I'm going to send, which is basically those 5 steps. If something goes wrong, relax, not tragic, just send me an email and say, Ferdy, look, I got this crazy message, maybe you can copy me the message, and then I might be able to help you just online, or we just sit together and I fix it together with you. There is no official deadline yet. The years before, we always said 12 o'clock on Tuesdays, midnight, all your stuff has to be in there. This would be the moment where I start checking out our local repository. Then I would go through all the pages and see who uploaded files that are too big or whose page is not working, so I can give you some tips on how to make it work. So I usually spend my Tuesday nights and Wednesday mornings just by fixing all the things, and then I would send it to the main repository maybe by noon time, because what I want to avoid is that Neil is in class and suddenly discovers a disaster. And this is what we should avoid. And if you're pushing stuff while Neil is in class, he's going to get annoyed. So in any case, we shouldn't push anything after 3 o'clock on Wednesdays. Should we establish a deadline? Like I'm asking you this is not a deadline for me, it's a deadline that you have to set yourself. The more time you give me, and the more probable it is that I fix everything before it gets public.
Maybe if you can fix everything in Wednesday morning, and then we push together.
Yeah, Wednesday, yeah. Maybe before 12 o'clock? Yeah, actually, say on Wednesday midnight, because from Tuesday midnight, because if not, you will work all night through, and you will come on Wednesday with eyes down to here, and just come on, we're all humans, and I know if there's a deadline, you will work to the last minute. And it doesn't help you anything if you're sitting here on Wednesdays being completely tired and falling asleep during class.
Graduating in the night, so.
Yeah?
If you go to a party, you probably are wake up. Maybe we can have any deadline in the morning. So we cannot push nothing after midnight, and then in the morning we come here to check everything, and then we push in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, let's see how it works. I like the 3 a.m. If you're yeah, this is a good compromise, no? But also let's see how you guys are doing. If it turns out that everybody is going crazy with their file sizes, I will just make a local repository for us, and we go back to the safe way, and then I set the deadline, just strict. But if we manage to get our stuff, if we don't grow over 5 megabytes in the next week, then we can just keep it the way it is right now. And this would make it easy for everybody. And we just skip the deadline and we just try to get your stuff done before Neil panics. But let's really avoid having files that are too big. And I hope that this year is going to be a bit easier, because on Mercurial there's also the additional problem that if you check in from Mac doesn't care about capital letters and small letters, whereas Linux does. So we constantly had cases where people would rename their file from index with a capital I to index with a lowercase I. Then you would get something which is called case folding, which you can only resolve by checking it out on the computer that is case sensitive. And this would get you into like annoying circles. Yeah, let's just see how things go to the next week. And yeah, should be any questions?
Which is about version control. Something we're supposed to understand, I don't think I know what I'm supposed to understand.
Okay, so the system Git is the first big system was called Subversion, and it was used by programmers that would collaborate on programming big programs. So imagine you have 50 programmers working on the same source code, but you could see it as your website, and they would run into problems that somebody would change something that breaks somebody else's stuff, or two people would edit the same file at the same time, or people would accidentally delete things, and suddenly everything was broken and it didn't work. So they came up with a system where you check out stuff, which is the pull part. Then you kind of have your local workspace where you can go wild and do whatever you want. And you only get to the troublesome part if you want to push it. Because then it will see, oh, but somebody else edited the same file, and then so it would offer you an interface where you could decide, instead of just overwriting the file that is on the server, or just ignoring your changes and keeping the file on the server the way it is, it would allow you to do merges. So it would say, line 1 to 50 were edited by you, and line 50 to 80 were edited by somebody else. Do you want to keep your changes, or the other changes, or both? And you could decide line by line how to merge those two files together. And this would obviously save a lot of time and work for everybody. And slowly those systems started to incorporate other file types apart from text files. For example, if you use Katya or NX or Creo, they have how do you call it, versioning systems? No. Version control for CAD files, so you could do a merge for a 3D model. Let's say I make a chair with 3 legs, and you add a 4th leg. I could merge those 2 edits together, and we would have the combination of our 2. So this is how all the big CAD programs work. Actually, the Onshape as well. So you can collaboratively work on the same database, which is your workspace, and then decide on how to mix this all together for making the final product. Yeah, sounds easy. Actually, it is easy, but of course you can go into the deepness of like how this actually works on a technical level, and then it gets complicated because it's highly optimized, and its tools like the Git system is like the GitHub, what we probably found before, is just the visualization of what's going on in a repository. And this right now is the biggest platform for open source software. It used to be SourceForge, now it's GitHub. And yeah, and you need somebody that is, without version control, it wouldn't be possible to program something like Blender, where you have 500 developers from everywhere on the world collaborating for creating a program that would be very expensive by now if you counted all the lines of code and the man hours involved. So version control can exist. It's mostly for text files, can be used for other files. If you look at it in the CAD world, there's a different name for it. They call it lifecycle. No. Yeah, they have fancy names for it. But the same system appears in many spots. No, only on very specific ones. Mostly only in the very expensive ones. Okay, any more questions? Any questions from Valdaura? Andreas? Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Do you want to join? Should we do a little local review? Just whoever wants presents their page and talks a bit about it. Yeah. It's your, I will be here another hour at least. So.
I would say I'm trying to do Friday, right? You said Friday, right? Friday as well. So I'm Friday as well.
Okay, so then we can stop sharing my screen. Okay, just for seeing all the faces out there. Yeah, then I guess that's it for today. Yeah, I'm still here for a while. If you want to ask me something.
Who you making
Okay.
ladies first? I hate it.
Okay, guys. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.